Hello, welcome to week 10 of Stat 432. No intro, we're just going to get right into it. This is going to be a very short video. So, week 10, we're getting ready for exam 2. So, my hope is that your preparations for exam 2 will be much easier than exam 1 because the only difference between exam 1 and exam 2 is the content. Meaning that my hope is that you are now roughly familiar with Prairie Learn and the CBTF and the interaction between the two. So I sort of don't anticipate any issues with this exam. So what I want to briefly talk about is the exam itself. Well, actually, first scrolling through here, don't forget you can still get credit for the most recent two quizzes leading up to the day of the exam, but I would suggest being done with it well before that. Of course, we have office hours leading up to the week of the exam. A reminder that this Thursday office hour in particular is the last one before the exam because on the Monday of the exam, it conflicts with what would be those usual office hours, which will be canceled so that I can be available during the exam so I can, talk to the CBTF folks in case there's any issues during the exam. Okay, so starting here is all the information about the exam, largely exactly the same as what you saw before. Maybe go back and reference the previous video leading up to exams if you want to hear me talk about it, but if you've read this before, just read it one more time to refresh your memory. We didn't have any issues with exam 1, so I'm not too worried about the logistics. It seems like y'all did a good job. CBTF did an excellent job, so I'm happy with all that. So the only thing I want to briefly touch on is the content on the exam. So the first thing I want to say is that technically the exam covers quizzes 5 through 8, the material tested in there. However, I think it would be unfair to say that quizzes 1 through 4 will not be tested on this exam. By that I mean, I think it should be fairly clear that the things that we did in quizzes 1 through 4 are continuing to appear in quizzes 5 through 8. So the focus is going to be on quizzes 5 through 8, but the content the content in and of itself is cumulative, so the exam is cumulative. It's not, but I'm saying that just so that you don't sort of misjudge that. Okay, the next thing I want to say is that within quizzes 5 through 8, I want to, for those of you that are bothering to watch this video, give maybe a little bit of hint here about sort of a few things. So first of all, I'll say that quiz 6 will be somewhat downplayed. Not to say there won't be questions that are relevant to that material, but there won't be a ton of quiz 6 stuff. Whereas quiz 5, I think it's safe to say it will be overrepresented because we hit some really important things in there, in particular logistic regression and all the binary classification metrics. So consider that in your studying. The other thing I'll say is that quizzes 7 and 8 obviously will be covered on the exam. I'm actually so seven would have been resampling and 8 would have been regularization. So I'll say this: a few question types that I'll just tell you right now, 100% are going to be there. There will be a question where you are given a data set, you are told a statistic, and you are asked to bootstrap that statistic and create a confidence interval. That you can just guarantee that's going to happen. The other question type that you can guarantee is going to happen is I'm going to give you a data set. Say, here is a regression or classification model we care about. Here is a metric we care about. Cross-validate that procedure. Wherein, like the previous quiz questions, I give you the sort of cross-validation indexes ahead of time. You can guarantee that's going to happen. Now, I won't tell you what model or what metric you have to do, but that procedure you absolutely are going to have to do. So keep that in mind. I should mention something about binary classification that I'm wondering if I don't think I said it in here. So the thing with binary classification that is sometimes a little tricky is there's a million different metrics, right? And I'm not about memorization. Basically, long story short, is that the metrics that are specifically defined in the notes, you are more or less responsible to know. Any other metric, if I ask you to calculate it, I will also define it for you. So basically, I'm not super concerned with whether or not you have instant recall of the definitions of these things. It's much more important to me that you can actually calculate them in practice. Um, Actually, hold on a second. So yeah, you have access to the textbook and the notes within it. So for you go to the binary classification section, pull up those notes. All of that is available to you, and then say something like an F1 score or a Matthews correlation coefficient, something like that, right? That I don't think is in those notes. I honestly don't remember. But if you were asked to calculate something like that in the exam, we will just give you the definition of it. All you'll have to do is implement and calculate it. Okay. So I think that's roughly all there is to say. This should say exam 1. I need to fix that, but that's a minor note. Just want to check real quick. Yeah, okay, I guess one more reminder that actually 2 more reminders. So you need to make sure you have your R up to date. I just want to mention this. So I think recently a student on Piazza ran into an issue where they, for whatever reason, they needed to switch computers they were using, and their R install on that particular computer had issues with random number generation because they had updated to. Long story short, what I'm saying is if you switch computers that you're using between the quizzes and then the exam, make sure you take whatever machine you're going to do the exam with, do some quizzes with to check your R setup. Make sure that is set up correctly. You would hate to run into those errors during the exam. Actually, 2 more things still. Next thing is if you haven't already, head to Piazza and check out one of the instructor posts that I did recently. The CBTF is moving towards being stricter about photo identification before the exams. So long story short, if you are in possession of a physical iCard, you don't need to do anything. If you are not in possession of a physical iCard and you have not gone through the process of uploading a photo to, I forget which exact system it is, you need to do that before April 1st, which is very soon, or else you will not be allowed to take the exam. I'm trying to think of what the other thing that I wanted to say was that I thought of. Let me scroll real quick and see if it comes to me. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. Oh, I was going to mention. So, no, actually, this doesn't apply too much to this class. I'm thinking about a minor issue we had in my other class on CBTF, but something to be aware of, which is that, actually, no, I don't even want to tell you this because it could potentially confuse you, and we didn't have issue with it last time, so one less thing for you to worry about. Okay, so I'll stop rambling in a second here. Okay, so, again, long story short, exam 2, it's coming up. This coming week is your week to prepare. Yeah. So hopefully these exam preparation weeks help a little bit towards making up for the fact that we didn't have a spring break and you couldn't relax at all. So we're not throwing new content at you at the same time we're doing exam stuff. So hopefully this helps a little bit, but maybe not as much as we could have. But this was my attempt to sort of correct for that. Okay, I will officially stop rambling now. So as always, if you made it to the end of the video, good job, and I will see you in the next one.